Welcome to Vet Fraternity. In this video, we are going to talk about one of the most important topics, that is cataract. So, by definition, cataract is defined as any opacity, regardless of size, of the ocular lens or its capsule is called as cataract. So, you can see a lens over here. This hole is a lens, and lens is surrounded by a lens capsule. We have divided the lens capsule, like the portion that is on the anterior side is anterior capsule, and the one on the posterior side is called as posterior capsule. So any opacity, it doesn't matter the size. It can be just covering this portion, it can be just covering this portion, it can be covering the whole anterior side or whole anterior or posterior sides, or the capsule and the lens also. So regardless of the size, opacity should be there of the lens or its capsule is called as cataract. Cataract results from change in lens protein composition or lens fiber arrangement. So, within the lens, the protein composition or the fiber arrangement, if it gets changed, cataract will happen. And it is most common canine ocular abnormality. Talking about breed predisposed, for dogs, smooth fox terriers, Havanese, Boston Terrier, poodles, cocker spaniels. And for cats, these are Persians, Birman, Himalayan, and domestic short hair. Canine cataracts also occur secondary to diabetes mellitus, which has genetic predisposition in some breeds. So you should remember that diabetes mellitus is one of the most common causes for canine cataract. Then we have disease types. Well, cataract has been classified by different things like the age of the onset, location, severity, and cause. Talking about age, when it is going to present at birth, it is congenital. Few months to 6 years of age. If it develops in this age limit, it's juvenile. And if it's more than 6 years of aged animal, it's senile. Next classification is based on location, like capsule, anterior or posterior, cortex, anterior or posterior, or equatorial, or the nucleus. Let me show you the picture and you will understand it better. Okay, this is a cortical and this is a nuclear. For cortical, you can see it starts from the side, and later on, as it will progress, it will go towards the center, of course, but it starts from the cortex. But for the nuclear, it is going to be present in the middle, in the center. And you should remember the nuclear cataracts are always congenital, and but not all congenital cataracts are nuclear. Next is based on severity. Basically, we have different types: incipient, immature, mature, hypermature, or Morgagnian. Basically, what happens that when we perform an ophthalmoscopic exam of an eye, and we are having lens over here, what we are trying to do, we are trying to visualize the back side of the eye, the fundus and everything. Okay, now what happens, with the cataract, the opacities are going to be there. If it is like incipient cataract, only less than 10% of the area is going to be obstructed. So we can still view the fundus behind. But when it is the like immature cataract still further has like two types. If it's early, 10 to 50% of the retina is going to be obstructed, and if it's late, 50 to 90%, 99% area is obstructed. So we are not going to exactly see the back side of the fundus. But when it comes to mature, they say 100% of the retinal exam is obstructed. So the whole area is going to be obstructed. And for the hypermature, with the hypermature cataract, lens start liquefying or reabsorbing, after leading to inflammation, that what we call lens-induced uveitis. And for Morgagnian, it is an advanced hypermature stage. The cortex is fully liquefied and the dense nucleus sinks to the bottom of the capsule due to gravity. So this was about the types of the cataract. Although they are not going to ask you the exactly the types uh, or a type identification in the exam, but you should have a general overview of these types of the cataract. Okay, these are the images. This is the normal lens, immature, mature, nuclear, hypermature, again mature, immature, Morganian, hypermature. So these are the types of cataract. Risk factors. Okay, for dogs, the most common risk factor is inherited. You should remember the most common in dogs is inherited. Diabetes mellitus is another most important cause for dogs because sorbitol pathway glucose metabolism starts to occur in the eye. That's why all diabetes mellitus dogs develop cataract. 50% by days 170 and 80% by 470 day of onset of diabetes mellitus. Then intraocular diseases, in that they say that anterior uveitis is most common cause for cat and horse cataract. So you are seeing that for horse and cats, it's anterior uveitis, and for dogs, it was inherited. Not only that, glaucoma, intraocular neoplasia, retinal degeneration, detachment, and lens luxation all are going to cause cataract. Any trauma to the lens, aging factor, nutritional factor, where pups or kittens are on the milk replacer can lead to cataract formation, hypocalcemia, long-term use of medicines like ketoconazole, toxin exposure, or electric shock can lead to cataract formation. Next, we are going to have history, like when, with what complaint the owner is going to bring the dog in. Number one is vision disturbance. If you see this image, this is a normal lens. The light shines on the lens, on the cornea, passes through the lens, and focuses on a single point on the retina to form an image. But with a lens with cataract, the light shines, strikes on the passes through the lens, and it starts to scatter, and the dog or cat cannot have a normal image. So they are going to have vision disturbances. Then cloudy white people, of course, the whitening of the eye is going to happen. Then if it's like cataract resulting from secondary uveitis, of course, there are going to be other signs like pain, redness, epiphora. And if there is any systemic disease like diabetes mellitus causing cataract, you should have other complaints also like polyuria, polydipsia, and weight loss with diabetes mellitus. On physical exam, you are going to see the opacity of the lens, unilateral or bilateral, with all or any of the following, because I have told you that these all are the risk factors or concurrent diseases that are going to come with the cataract. So you are going to have anterior uveitis, glaucoma, lens subluxation or luxation, retinal degeneration and detachment, systemic abnormalities, weight loss for diabetes mellitus. So any of these can happen along with the opacity of lens. Then we are having the diagnosis. For diagnosis, observation of cloudy pupilla in the animal that may be visually compromised. You can confirm by finding lens opacity after complete dilation of pupil using short-acting mydriatic. So, first thing was just seeing the cloudiness or opacity of the eye. Second is place eye drops, topical tropicamide, or you can use any other mydriatic. Basically, they will dilate the pupil, and you can so you can basically see the opacity clearly, and you can confirm it. Then you also have to rule out other diseases like glaucoma, uveitis by IOP. So glaucoma and uveitis are diagnosed by checking intraocular pressure. In uveitis, it is going to be low. In glaucoma, it is going to be high. Then you can perform funding exam to rule out other conditions also. Okay, then we are having differential diagnosis. It is very important for cataract, especially nuclear or lenticular sclerosis. Okay, it is a normal aging change within animals that are more than 7 years, does not cause vision loss. So with cataract, we were having vision loss, so vision disturbances. Center of the lens become opalescent to hazy, but with nuclear sclerosis, there is presence of tapetal reflection as light is able to pass through the cloudy lens. With cataracts, light is unable to pass through the lens and tapetal reflection is absent. So first see the image of nuclear sclerosis, then I'll explain it. This is a nuclear sclerosis central circular gray zone. So you can see this whole zone and early cataract formation. Of course, this dog is going to get cataract also, but right now you can see this hazy portion as nuclear sclerosis. Okay. So what they say, it is going to be in old age animals only. But cataracts, we talked about this signalement. It can happen in like very young to middle-aged dogs also. Then the second thing, nuclear or lenticular sclerosis does not cause vision loss, but there were vision disturbances with cataract. Then center of the lens become opalescent to hazy, and because of that, there is one more thing, that tapetal reflection is going to be there because light can pass these cloudy lens. But comparing with the cataract, light is not able to pass through the opacity of the cataract, and there is no tapetal reflection in the cataract. Second differential is hyperlipidemia that may result in lipid aqueous flare. This will obstruct the ability to see iris and pupil, most common in miniature schnauzer. So, this is hyperlipidemia. Okay. The third one is disease causing diffuse corneal edema. Any disease that causes diffuse corneal edema, because corneal edema gives bluish white opacity to the cornea, but it is like bluish white opacity of the cornea, not in the pupil, and may obstruct ability to see pupil, including glaucoma and anterior uveitis. So you should see whether it's a cataract happening or it's just corneal edema because of any other disease like uveitis or glaucoma. Well, coming to the treatment, treatment includes that if there is like incipient or non-progressive early immature cataract, no immediate treatment is necessary. You should monitor for progression. But if it's progressive, immature, mature, or hypermature cataracts, they are treated to restore the vision, that is by cataract surgery, or they are treated to prevent secondary sequelae of cataracts, that is uveitis, glaucoma, or retinal detachment. So these are basically the two goals of treating a progressive, immature, mature, or hypermature cataract. Referral to veterinary ophthalmologist will help in triage, diagnosis, and treatment of cataracts. This is very important this because this disease is not going to be treated by a general physician. If you have diagnosed it, you just send it to the veterinary ophthalmologist, board certified veterinarians, to have like confirm it, to do the confirmation and then treat the situation accordingly. Acute treatment includes treat secondary uveitis or glaucoma if present, so you have to see the underlying cause also. Phacoemulsion, emulsification to remove the cataract. This followed by implantation of artificial intraocular lens to restore the normal vision. So what is the procedure for cataract? It's phacoemulsification, through which the cataract is being removed, followed by artificial intraocular lens implantation to restore the normal vision. Then we basically implant the artificial lens. It is a more successful treatment for mature, hypermature, or progressive immature cataracts. Before phacoemulsion, vet should perform ocular ultrasound, electroretinography to ensure that posterior segment of the eye is normal. Otherwise, dog might still not have any vision following implantation of artificial intraocular lens. So what they are saying, basically what you have to remember in acute treatment, first you have to treat the underlying cause. Second, only thing you have to remember is that the phacoemulsification is a surgery that we perform to treat the cataract. And before that, just perform the other tests like ocular ultrasound or electroretinography to ensure that the posterior segment is normal. Otherwise, even if the posterior segment is not normal and you perform the surgery, animal is not going to have the vision back, and you are just wasting a resource of like surgery performing this. Without lens implantation, dog or cat with normal posterior segment has little useful vision following phacoemulsification. So the situation is on the both sides. We said in the point two that posterior segment is not like okay, and you perform the surgery, you are not going to have any benefit. Similarly, if you perform the phacoemulsification but not the changing of the lens or lens implantation, still you are not going to have any benefit. So you have to do the both things. First, you have to see the posterior segments are okay. Then you have to go for phacoemulsification along with implantation of artificial intraocular lens. Next, we are having chronic treatment. For a chronic treatment, after surgery, topical antibiotics, anti-inflammatory, e-collar, exercise restriction for 2 weeks should be performed. Because of course the eye vision is not okay, so you have to perform restrict the exercise and everything, and movements, and provide e-collar so that the eye animal does not scratch or do anything to the eye. NSAIDs for months can be used in decreasing manner to deal with the pain. If surgery is not an option, monitor cataracts for progression. So you just have to monitor for progression and treat prophylactically for secondary uveitis with topical anti-inflammatories long term. Use IOP lowering drugs in combination with anti-inflammatories if there is glaucoma. So you have to see you are dealing with uveitis or glaucoma what, and you have to treat them accordingly and keep on monitoring. When it is going to be like end stage, perform enucleation or evisceration along with intrascleral prosthetics for end stage blind and painful glow. So you can see this eye, the eye is being removed, but after removing, there is like prosthetic is placed in the eye. And this blue color used by in this picture, it was just to like previously mimic the blue eye of the dog. So you can place any prosthetic in the eye uh, to have like just for the appearance. Even if you don't place the prosthetic, you can have just simply the enucleation and the eyelids are being closed. Prognosis, rate of cataract progression rate of cataract progression variable depending upon cause and location of cataract and age of the animal. Success of phacoemulsion surgery is 90 to 95%. Okay, it is a good surgery with good prognosis. You should remember this for paper point of view. Success is increased by early referral before animal is blind or before onset of hypermaturity or uveitis and surgery and with diligent post-op monitoring and treatment. So this point is very important regarding paper point of view. Sometimes they give you a question and the scenario of a disease, eye diseases, because for majority of the eye diseases, if they are like having any surgery or like you must refer the case to the board certified veterinary ophthalmologist. So they will give you in the options like you are going to perform surgery yourself or you are just going to refer it. Of course, the option of referring is the right one. That's the thing. The last but not the least, animals affected with cataracts, regardless of severity, should not be used for breeding unless it is known specifically that the cataract is of non-genetic origin. Because in the first slide, we talked that some animals have genetic predisposition for the cataract formation. So you must not use these animals for breeding purposes. Okay, that was all about cataract formation. I hope you understood the concept behind the disease and every important point of this disease. Thank you for choosing Vet Fraternity. Best of luck for your preparation.